Okay, so I was at the boot sale today and I came across this, and this is a standard 8 film, and I thought, well, you know, mine on a dark winter's night I can get my projector out, I can have a look at it, and for the sake of a couple of quid, bit of entertainment there, find out what's on the film. It's a bit of a state, but the actual film itself looks okay. And then a few minutes later, at a different stall completely, I came across this, and this is an 8mm film projector, and unfortunately it's got a few issues that I know about. How many it's got I don't know about yet, I don't know. The biggest is that the bulb's missing, and I've had a quick look, and the bulbs are advertised at prices like $75 and $110 for the bulbs, and they even quote on them that they have a 15-hour lifespan. So it's not really going to be applicable to put the original bulb into one of these, but I've got an idea that I might be able to convert it to use a more contemporary lamp. It's an idea, but there's another problem. I've just checked it out actually when I was in the car on an inverter, and discovered that this button here is also seized, and that the motor therefore is not kicking in. So that's the first job I need to do, is to try and figure out why it's stuck. Okay, so we've got another number of issues with this thing. The control button on the front is stuck. I've also just found out that that has fallen out. Why is that falling out? Okay, well, a bit of the gate's just fallen out, so that's something I'm going to have to look at. The control button is stuck, so I can't turn the motor on, which is the first bad thing. Inside, obviously, the bulb is missing. There's a resistor bank here, which I think is for the bulb. I'm going to guess the bulb's designed to run on 180 volts, and by setting this wire here on this resistor tube, you can go between 240 all the way down to 200 volts. So I think that's how that works. That looks intact. I'm finding bits of belt in the bottom of the machine, like that. So there's obviously a duff belt in there somewhere. So I'm going to strip it down a bit further to find out what the full story is. Also at the back there, you can just about see, I think, can you, that it says March 65, which makes it getting on for 60-year-old. Right, getting it out of the box hasn't really helped me much. I don't know what that was for. It looks like the belt that's knackered is the belt that was originally on the end of this fan. On the end of the fan, and then this motor. So that's why that's not working. The reason the button doesn't seem to be turning is because it is connected to a metal rod which goes across to the back here. So I'm definitely going to do some more dismantling. Okay, I think. So it gets a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. So I've removed the ballast resistor, which you can see there. And I've had to take the bulb holder out, and I've had to take the screw out the front as well as the screws in the back here, and that's got me to here. So there's the rubber belt that's knackered. Okay, where's the other bit of belt that fell out earlier? That bit there. Right, so I need that belt. All right, so. But that's not the biggest problem I've got when I've had a look. So the live comes in there, goes through a switch, which is fair enough. The power then goes to the bulb. The power then comes back from the bulb, and then it goes through the motor, and then it goes through the ballast resistor, and eventually connects to the earth. which means that the motor is in series with the lamp. So I'm now beginning to think that the lamp is probably 110 volts. So you get 110 volts, maybe 80 volts, gets it down to 190, or gets you to 190, and then this takes care of the rest. But the fact that this is probably going to be an 80 volt motor is going to make it slightly more difficult for me to wire up, because I'm now going to have to work out a ballast I can put in this to make it work. So that's problem. That's something we have to work out when I get the chance. I have to work out what sort of wattage resistor I need to put in there to get it down to 80. Depends how much wattage that thing takes, and I really don't know. It's probably not going to be much. Anyway, that's for another day. Right, so this power switch here isn't working, and it isn't working because that appears to be seized. Oh, hang on, is that... Now, is that seized because it's jammed, or because there's something missing? I want to suggest that that is supposed to rotate that entire disc assembly there, and it's not. So I'm going to try and free that up. Can I do this one-handed? I definitely think that's supposed to rotate. Right, I think I'll have to take that assembly off and have a look. That on there was tight as hell. And now when I've looked at it, this is really tight as well. So I'm going to have to figure out a way of getting that apart, otherwise I fear it might have been riveted on. Okay, so I've freed those cogs up, and I can see what it does now. In normal play mode, which is as it is now, there's quite a high level of reduction on this take-up spool. But when it's in rewind mode, it flips it over like that, so that the take-up spool spins faster. But it is always the take-up spool, so you must have to swap the reels over when you want to rewind the film. I don't know if this was missing when I took it apart. I'm going to have to check this video out to have a look, but it looks like the indent on the switch is missing. There's definitely a spring went in there like that, and I think there should have been a button getting pushed down that then engaged with these holes here, but it's missing at the moment. But whether it's fallen out onto the table, I'll have to have a look. Okay, so I found the components of the indent. It must have all fallen out when I've been pulling it apart. Put it back together. Okay, it was very fiddly getting it back together, but I'm now in a position where it's working the way it should. Okay, one thing I've just noticed is that this is the gate here. I wondered why the bulb holder was set up the way it is. And it's because if you turn a knob here, you can actually alter the height of the projected image. But obviously, in order to keep the bulb lined up, it's got to be mounted on the same mechanism. So no matter what I do to fit a bulb into here, I'm going to have to make sure I mount it onto these 2 points here. Right, okay. Okay, so now it's now I know what's wrong with it. Now I know the mechanism's freed, and that all looks good. I've reassembled it back to how it was originally for now, even though I am going to make some modifications later. I need to get this belt, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this. I need to figure out what the story is first. It's definitely in series with the lamp, so it's a question of finding out what voltage the lamp is, then find out what voltage is across the motor, and then working out a suitable ballast for it. Right, okay, until next time. Although in saying that, I just want to show you this idea of altering the height of the projected image by moving the entire projection head assembly is quite unusual. I mean, normally they just put little feet on the bottom that adjust, but this one's got an elevating button, as it says there, and this is obviously the frame button, so that's going to be the position of the film in the frame. It's got like security screws on here, so anti-tamper screws. This is the only spindle that's driven. So the film will come off here through the projector, get wrapped around here, and then, like I say, when you want to rewind the film, you can swap them over. Put the feed spool on here and the take-up spool and the original film spool on here, and then by altering that to there like that, it puts it into a higher gear so that it'll spin faster. At least that's my assumption of how it'll work. Brownie 8. Okay, I found out how this gate thing works. Why it fallen out. There's a little release spring here, and you can pull that back, and it locks. There we go. And that then allows you to take the gate piece out. And there is somewhere, oh there it is, there is a little brush which I assume came with the projector because it looks period correct, so you can get in there and you can dust out the gate and then put that back in like that, release that, and you're good to go again. Okay, this is about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks later, and I can't remember where I got up to with the video, so I'm gonna recap a little bit if I can, and maybe add some things in. Like I said, I honestly can't remember where I was. What I found out was that there was a bulb that goes in the projector, which is rated 120 volts and 150 watts, which is fair enough. There is also a motor, and I don't know what the wattage of that is, but what I do know is it's in series with the light bulb. And then there's a resistor block, which has various tappings. And I actually made a mistake here because I assumed that the 200 volts still went through the resistor, but it doesn't. At 200 volts, it's a direct connection. At 240 volts, which is what we have in this area here, the total amount of resistance is, and I've written it down somewhere, or what I've discovered on my meter, is that it's 38 ohms. Okay, and then there's actually another one, which is 250, and from memory that was about 44, 40, something like that ohms. But anyway, in standard configuration, you'd have a 38 on a 240 volt supply, you'd have a 38 ohm resistor in there, you'd have the motor, 120 volt, 150 watt bulb, and there's your neutral there. Right, now the bulb's missing, so I've got no idea at the moment whether this motor runs. In any case, it's my intention to replace this light bulb with a LED unit, although that could be troublesome, but I think I explained earlier that the bulbs are very expensive and don't last very long, so this is a workaround. So what I've decided to do is to replace this light bulb with a resistor. Now, ideally I'd want to use a transformer, but the box is such a size, and yeah, I didn't want to mess around with that. So if we assume we've got 200 volts coming in here, and if we assume that there's a 120 volt drop across the bulb, that means that the motor runs on 80 volts AC, 50 hertz. Alright, so that's fair enough. So what I'm going to be doing is replacing this light bulb with a resistor. And what I've bought is this, which is a 100 ohm resistor. 100, oh there we go, 100W there, and 100 ohms. Okay. Right, so how do I know it's 100 ohms? Well, I've said it's 100 ohms because V equals IR and watts equals volts times amps. Okay, so therefore amps equals 150 over 120, which therefore gives us 1.25 amps. And then the resistance is the voltage over the current, which in this case is 120 volts over 1.25, and that gives us a resistance of, I've written it down somewhere, 96 ohms. Okay, so I picked a 100 ohm because it's the closest I could get. Now, of course, it is dissipating 150 watts. Now, this is only a 100 watt resistor because it's only what I could get for reasonable-ish money. But I'm hoping that if I put a decent heatsink on it and I put it in the path of the fan in here, that I'll be able to get away with it. Plus the fact that the projector only runs for a maximum of 16 minutes. So this resistor might hold up. So the project tonight is to install this resistor and basically just to see if the motor works, because at the moment I don't know if this motor works. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I think I found somewhere to put it. I think I should be able to put it there. I can drill this back plate here and tap it, fix it onto there, bit of thermal transfer compound. I think that should do quite well. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, the motor's running. Okay, I can't remember where I got up to with this video, but right, so I need to make a new coil for 250 volts. I've been looking for something similar, but I can't find it. But I have found this, which is going for water pump. It was rated 240 volts. Is there enough wire on here to give me the 2,100 windings I need? Maybe the wire's too thin, I don't know. But since it's all I've got, and since I've got a spare evening with nothing to do, I'm going to wind it on and see what happens. Always a first time for everything, isn't there? I definitely should be automating this, but this is the basic idea. I'm just winding it from there onto there. Well, I'm at the halfway point, and this has taken me nearly an hour. Keep going, I think. Okay, so I'm not very happy about this, really. I think I've thinking about it overnight. I think I've probably used too thin a wire. I've probably got too many windings on there, and yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I think it's either going to be underpowered or it's going to overheat, or yeah, I'll be very surprised if I've hit the Goldilocks zone, because I've done it in a rather half-assed, casual manner. But let's see if it goes bang, eh? So, if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. Here it goes. Oh, hang on. That would have turned it on, wouldn't it? Right, here we go. What's going to happen? Well, I found another problem, didn't I? So it was seized. It was this idler wheel here that was causing trouble, and I tried dismantling it, but what I found out was that it was riveted, and I didn't want to go down the route of trying to remake the rivets, and I just thought to try as an experiment boiling water to see if it was just solidified grease in there, and it appears to have worked, because now I have a freed device. Now all I've got to do is hope that I can remember how to put this thing back together. Okay, so I've got it back together. Appears to be okay. Everything's working just as you would think. So now it's time to power it up. And the answer is... well, there you go. And that's working. I should try and put some film through it, eh? Well, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve so far. It does sound like it's running a bit slow, but at least it's working. So I've rewound the motor for 240 volts. I fixed the mechanical issues that it had with the seized wheels and what have you. And it is kind of, sort of working. If you look down the lens, there. So the picture's there and it's working and it's stable. Can you see that properly? Let's try it for a different angle. There we go. Yeah, so all that's missing now is a light. Can I? Anyway, it's sort of working. So this is going to be the end of part one, I think, because I'm now going to have to think how I'm going to create a bulb that's going to work in this. I really want to use an LED, but I think I'm going to have to use a DC LED, so I'm probably going to end up having to put a high frequency power supply in, and then maybe like a 12 volt LED. But for now, it's working. It even rewinds as well. Look at that. Super speed.